Hi there. In this video, I'm going to give you a very quick look of how you can use the segment filtering options on your A/B test result to gather better insights into your customer behavior for your experiments, right? So as a disclaimer, this test result is just an example. And obviously, you can see that this test is still running and has been running for only 4 days only. And we suggest to allow the test to run for more days to encounter for multiple sales cycle to get a more reliable conclusions, right? So the data here is just for demo purposes, right? So so you can see that for this test result, it is for all the visitors, right? So you see that by default, the segments options here, it will show the result that represent all your website visitors, right? And then in most of the A/B test result, you might have obtained an inconclusive inconclusive result, which means that your test has concluded that there is no statistical significance difference between your variations, right? So, like for example, this one, there's no statistical significance difference between the control and the variant one, right? But for all these inconclusive result, it might be helpful to look at your test result also by the segment filtering options here. Right, like for example, if we look at the direct traffic segments, right, you can see that there is a statistical significance difference between the variant one and control. And the variant one has has around 42% improvement compared to the control. But I also want to highlight to you that when you look at your A/B test result by certain segments, right, you also want to make sure that your segment has enough or sufficient sample size to make a reliable conclusions, right? So how do you know if the segment has sufficient sample size to make a reliable conclusions? You can use a MIDA A/B testing sample size calculator, right? So here you go. This is the MIDA A/B testing sample size calculator, right? And then you just need to plug in a number from your test result into the calculator, and then you will get a number for the required sample size for your experiments, right? Like for example, for the calculator, you will need a base conversions rate, right? So that is your control group conversions rate, which is a 5.78, and we are just going to copy and paste that number into this calculator. And then the minimum detectable effect refers to the improvements that you're expecting to see in the experiments, right? So in this case, since we have the test has been running already, and then we have these improvements numbers in our test, and we are just going to use this figure and put that into the calculator, right? And then for statistical significance, we are looking at 95%. So here you go. We need a minimum of 1,100 per variance to make a reliable, to consider as sufficient sample size to make a reliable conclusions for these segments, for the direct traffic segments, right? So obviously you can see that there is only 778 users for the control. Does not have the sufficient sample size to make a reliable conclusions. And also the duration of the test again is not sufficient as well, right? So that's how you use the segment filtering options to look at your A/B test result and see if there's any significance achieved for certain segments, and then you can strategically implement the new design to a certain segments only for optimizing your conversions rate, right? So I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.